Building a rock star sales team in your agency is not easy. In this episode of Agency Playbook, I'm going to walk through some of the things that have been learned over the years on how to build and scale an effective sales team so that you can get the best results possible. When we ask agents what their biggest challenges are, and we do this quite often, whether it's on our coaching call or whatever we're doing when we're talking to agents, the biggest challenge that you hear over and over and over, and I bet if I were to pause and ask you, what is your biggest challenge in your agency? The team, right? Staff. Staff is always the biggest challenge because number one, is one of the most expensive investments in your agency, and it involves people. And you never know with people. We want to make sure that the person that we're bringing on has a very clear understanding of the job that they are seeking or the job that they may get if they are to be brought on board. In those interviews that we have with people, it's a little bit of a push and pull. So we have to gently sell the position because we need to make sure that they are interested and excited about the position. But at the same time, we also need to caution them about the position and paint the picture of how challenging it can be. If you use any kind of personality test or any sort of hiring assessment, I encourage you to look at the DISC test. Google it, DISC. Each of those letters stands for a particular piece of their profile. What we typically see over time that has worked well for the sales agent role, at least in the captive world, and I guess in both instances in independent, there's also a lot of monotony, is we need to have a high S because they're going to be steady. They're going to be doing a lot of repetitive tasks, right? Doing the quoting. Now, we also need to find a high D, which means that they're driven, and maybe a medium I. And that I is kind of their energy, how great they present themselves. Now, we don't want too high of an I because then pretty much they're more of an entrepreneur. So we want it to be a little bit lower because we don't want to get that person who is going to want to leave to start their own agency and they're using you as their trainer. We want to get somebody that is not quite there yet. Once we know that that person has the potential, right? It's like has potential. Now we're going to dig a little bit deeper. So when we bring them in for the interview, again, it's a little bit of selling. It's a little bit of taking it away and scaring them with it. And then we want to ask a lot of situational questions where we put them in the job and we make them think about that and respond accordingly. Now, just like the telefunnel for sales, we also need to have a funnel for hiring. We don't ever want to be in the position where things are going great. I'm full. I have tons of people. I don't need to worry about it because this is when the other foot is about to drop. Somebody's going to leave. It's just bound to happen. It's the way that it works. It's the nature of this business. So we need to always be looking, and it's that 60-20-3-1 funnel. So there's going to be about, if we have 60 applicants at a time, and we push hard with the 60, we're going to get like 20 people that we're going to be able to interview. We're going to set up 3 actual interviews from the 20, and we're going to only hire about 1. So it's going to take 60 people to get to 1 hire. And of course, before the 60, right, the 60 that we contacted that look good, there's a whole slew of people. So really important to always have that going because this could take time, right? This could be a month. This could be a 2-month process. And then the training, a month, 2 months. So we're talking 4 months. If we're buying a certain number of leads because we're using that telefunnel, we know what we need to do, and we're making the right kind of calls, and we have the right kind of volume, and we're making the dials, and we're doing all these things, well, all of a sudden, if we have one producer down, and that producer was producing 30K, but now we're losing 30K in new business that we would have had they been there. And if we're not able to replace that person quickly, we're going to be in trouble. Got to make sure that when we come in, this is kind of a no-brainer, but really important. When that person steps through the door on their first day, we have to make them feel welcome. We have to make them feel that this is an inviting environment and a great place to work. Remember that the saying of you never get a second chance to create a first impression. That first impression when they walk through the door on their first day is real important. Think back to your jobs where the boss took you out for lunch on your first day, or they did something special. I think you have a lot more affinity towards that position than any other position. And it's important to recognize that. So put yourself empathetically in their shoes and think about what you'd like on your first day. I can tell you, in looking back at a case study of my own agency, when we aren't recruiting, and this is something that happens, you could fall off the boat and you stop doing the recruiting as you should, because it's just the way that it works. We're spinning a lot of plates. But if that process isn't in place, you could really find yourself in some tough positions. So make sure that you're always looking for that next candidate and always running some sort of interview process weekly. Thank you for listening or watching if you're on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. We appreciate you. Thanks.